Um, well, I was actually infected not by an emergency C-section. I had a transfusion before that in 1987 after the birth of my first son, and the second transfusion came when my twins were born by the emergency cesarean. Yeah, it's had a big impact on not just my life, but all of the people surrounded by me in my family, friends, work colleagues, etc. It has this big ripple effect that it's shocking. It's shocking. You can't begin to imagine what it's like to be told after 28 years that in fact you were infected by the NHS with infected blood. It's soul destroying, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine. What symptoms have you had over the years?
Okay, so the most symptoms for hepatitis C is chronic fatigue, which is something that I've suffered with for years and years and years. Hepatitis C can actually kind of live in your system for 20 years plus, and working away, doing its nasty little bits and pieces before you kind of really realise. Towards the end, before I was diagnosed, I'd got really itchy skin, and I was having these hot, like really silly hot type flushes, etc. And I put it down. I was 50 years old at the time, and I just thought I was going through my change. Luckily, I was picked up at my new surgery after a diabetic check by chance that I'd got hepatitis C.
Gosh, now you must be. I mean, if I were you, I'd be furious. Do you have a lot of anger still? Who do you blame?
Well, I needed to have the blood, so that's by and by. I wasn't happy there was Hep C in it. My anger is actually directed to a GP in Essex, who's not my GP now. When I went along to ask for a test, some adverts had come on the TV. There was no Google at that time. So I popped along and said, I'd had 2 blood transfusions before the bloods were screened in September 1991. And he basically said, well, of course you're tired, you've got 4 young children, and don't be silly, this kind of, off you go. So I think that my anger is directed at that GP, although we should never have, these pathogens, these viruses should never have been in the bloods to begin with.
Yeah, there's a lot of people's door blame can be laid at, I guess. Does this make you hesitant about the NHS as a whole? Have you lost trust in the NHS?
Yeah, yes, I did lose a lot of trust, I have to say, because, when I went along in the 90s, you listen to your health professional and you believe them and trust them. And unfortunately, yes, that trust was hard to get back. However, I do have a very good GP surgery that looks after me now, and the gastro team at the hospital looks after me extremely well also. But could I just please say, and you mentioned there about the interim payment, I would like to reach out now to Boris Johnson and to Michael Ellis, who is the Paymaster General, and plead with them to please do the right thing and pay this interim payment now. One of us are dying every 4 days. And since the infected blood inquiry began, 419 people have died. My friend has just been told there's a lump showing on his liver, and he's a very dear and close friend of mine. And we're now waiting to see, hoping he will get the urgent scan that is needed, and hope upon hope that it's not the inevitable.
Well, you've got the support of 3 former health secretaries, don't you now? They've all written to the Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, was it Jeremy Hunt, Matt Hancock? So hopefully that's going to pile on the pressure for you, because, I mean, I can't imagine going through the stress, the uncertainty, the worry, and also, the pain of going through something like this. So hopefully your your wishes will be listened to and respected. I just wondered, lastly, do you see in your community, because obviously you've been campaigning on this for a long time now, and you must know lots of people who've been going through this, are they hesitant now of, things like vaccines? Are they hesitant of having procedures in the NHS for fear that there might be some kind of contamination?
I wouldn't really like to speak to everybody else, to be honest. We're so focused on righting wrongs, as my friend Andrew Eborn has kindly, led support with us. For me, yeah, definitely. Although I do know I'm well looked after, I can't speak for the other victims. The main thing is that if anybody, has received blood transfusions, and it wasn't just before 1991, there was a crossover window. I know people that were infected after 1991. We need to reach out, which is something that Andrew Eborn has done with myself and the Hepatitis C Trust, to try and find these people out there and get them tested, get them treated and get them cured.